Let's put money again before we take the orders and ends of government.
Yo! Today is September 30th, 2022. Welcome to Simply Bitcoin Live. We are streaming from the Bitcoin Park campus in Nashville, Tennessee. We are your number one source for the peaceful Bitcoin revolution. We cover the breaking news, culture, memetic warfare. We will show you why only Bitcoin can give you true financial sovereignty. Guys, today's going to be a very special show. Bitcoin looks like it's finally decoupling. Very interesting. We're also going to be talking about why privacy is fundamental if you want freedom. And of course, I have a very special guest, new member of Simply Bitcoin. How you doing, Paul?
I'm doing great, man. I'm happy to be here with you. Happy to be on the show and happy to talk to our guest today.
Likewise. Paul, why don't you give a special shout out to some special people?
Yeah, so I'd like to say hi and I love you to my two daughters, Fiona and Penny, who are watching. They love seeing me on the show, and I miss you. I'll see you soon.
Fiona and Penny, you're very lucky girls. You have a lot of Bitcoin. Anyways, right. I also want to give a very special shout out to my awesome co-host. How you doing, Opti? Opti is always optimistic.
Hey, I as a Bitcoiner, I realize what is there to be mad about, and staying happy and, optimistic about life is the only way to live. And honestly, I'm feeling more happy and honestly more wholesome now that Paul gave a very special shout out. We're a wholesome family show today, so this is good.
That's right.
We're wholesome, but we have optimists here, so be careful. And of course, the one, the only, the legendary. You guys recognize his avatar from Twitter. It is TC. How you doing, TC? Welcome to the show.
Thank you very much. I am humbled to be here. This show is providing such important information and signal, and especially in this point in the world that we're at right now, it's never been more important. You guys are on fire lately. Thanks for having me.
Thanks, man. That really means a lot, bro. I really appreciate that. Opti, what do you have for us today on the culture, my friend?
Yes, well, I didn't even know what you were going to do today, but again, we're in sync, bro. And I'm going to cover Stefan Livera's article, but about denominating in sats, because the world is going up in fiat land, and you guys should be counting your chickens in sats. So we're going to give you guys some sauce and how to survive the great... I can't say it.
The great reset. The great reset. The great reset.
It's too early in the show for me to get crazy. So
no, we passed the 2-minute mark. It's all good. All right, guys, let's start the show. Let's do this. Number time. Brought to you by NODL. At this point, you should be running your own Bitcoin node. If you don't use your own Bitcoin node, you're trusting someone else's. Run your own version of Bitcoin Core, the Lightning Network, Whirlpool, and Dojo, all from the comfort of your own home. And if you're a digital nomad, you have absolutely no excuse, because now you can run a NODL through a virtual private server. Visit nodl.eu today. That's right, guys. We're going to talk about why privacy is so fundamental to freedom today. And if you care about privacy, you should be running your own Bitcoin node. You shouldn't be trusting anybody else. It's easy. You could build one. You could buy one pre-made from the NODL guys. They're awesome. Definitely run your own node. Anyways, at the time of recording, or you don't even have to build one either. You could just use an old computer, your current computer, and you could just download Bitcoin Core. Boom, you're running a Bitcoin node. Don't trust someone else's. Anyways, at the time of recording, the Bitcoin price is 19,628. Sats per dollar is 5,095, also known as Moscow time. Block height is 756,393. Reachable Bitcoin nodes, 13,776. Blocks to the halving, 83,607. Halving estimates April 22nd, 2024. Total Lightning Network capacity, 4,907. Capacity value, 96 million caca fiat dollars. Realized monetary inflation. Once again, Bitcoin continues to take the US dollar to absolute school. And that number is just going to keep decreasing over time as the halvings, or the halving, depending on who you are, do their thing. Market capitalization, $375 billion with a B. Anyways, I want to start it off strong. Do you smell that, guys? Do you smell that? It smells like victory. That's what it smells like. This week, we had a video from Christine Lagarde making the case, pleading the case as to why central banks have to remain the anchor of the financial system or everything's going to fall. And now, today, you have the New York Times, the paper of record, admitting something that Bitcoiners have been screaming from the rooftops. Currencies around the world are tumbling, except Bitcoin. Oof. Anyways, goes on to say the surging dollar is wrecking stock portfolios, clobbering commodity prices, and sinking rival currencies. The British pound has been among the most volatile currencies against the dollar, tumbling 5.6% over the past 7 days and briefly hitting a record low on Monday of $1.03. But one asset has been relatively calm over the past week, Bitcoin. The cryptocurrency has risen 6.5% over the past 7 days. A surprisingly strong run has caught the eye of crypto bulls and bears. To quote someone called Sven Heinrich, he says, we've reached a unique time in history when Bitcoin suddenly is less volatile than fiat currencies. I'm going to be making a prediction here, and the prediction is not just based on my gut feeling. The prediction is based on the fact that England, the United Kingdom, just announced that they're going to turn back on the money printers even after having 10% inflation. Also, Germany just announced that they're going to be releasing a $200 billion package, also on the heels of 10% inflation. So I suspect this will continue to get worse. Anyways, it goes on to say when central banks raised interest rates, Bitcoin largely traded like risky assets such as tech stocks, but that hasn't necessarily been the case over the past month. Bitcoin has traded in the green, but only slightly so far in September, while the tech-heavy NASDAQ is down nearly 10% over that period. But zoom out further, and the picture looks more frightening for crypto bulls. Bitcoin has lost more than half its value in 2022, far underperforming stocks, bonds, and most currencies. See, the last part is where they always get you, right? Mm-hmm. And this is where the banks always say this. The central banks always say this. Bitcoin is too volatile. Bitcoin is too volatile. Bitcoin is too this. Well, no, fine. You might say that on a year basis, but if you zoom out, because after all, Bitcoin is the best savings technology the world has ever seen, Bitcoin takes everything to absolute school. And like always, we are simply Bitcoin, so we always provide the receipts. For our audio listeners, compared to the United States dollar, over a 3-year time scale, the United States dollar is down 57% compared to Bitcoin. Over a 5-year time scale, it's down 78%. Crude oil, down 36% on a 3-year time scale, down 65% on a 5-year time scale. The S&P 500, down 69% on a 5-year time scale, 48% on a 3-year time scale. Gold, down 52% on a 3-year time scale, down 72% on a 5-year time scale. A medium new house, even with real estate pricing doubling over the last 2 years because of the money printing experiment, the modern monetary jumbo gumbo. Over a 3-year time scale, a medium new house is 42% cheaper, and on a 5-year time scale, medium new house is 69% cheaper. And this will continue to become more and more obvious to the point that the New York Times, the paper of record, is already on record admitting that Bitcoin is taking the fake monopoly fiat currencies to absolute school, like we always knew it would. Anyways, Opti, what are your thoughts, brother?
Well, first and foremost, sats are my stable coin. And like Z-Logic said in the chat, look at me. Bitcoin is the stable coin now. It's the most stable currency in the world. And Bitcoiners have been saying this forever. Like, everything divided by 21 million in a world of infinite money, having a hard cap currency is the way, and it's the exit door. So now the meme of Bitcoin being too volatile is being taken behind the barn and getting shot. Because like we say it all the time as a Bitcoiner, like Bitcoin is volatile short term, but it goes up and to the right on the long term. And fiat is stably losing value over time. And it's not even a short, like a small volatility. They try to target the 2%, but now we're getting into double digit losses. And I would just not like to be holding my value long term in fiat. So it feels pretty good to be right again as a Bitcoiner and understand that, like, yeah, if I just ride the roller coaster and I understand the fundamentals of Bitcoin, I am not getting robbed and I am actually gaining value and my wealth is going up in the future. Just you got to hodl the Bitcoins, you know, and continue to stack and stay humble. As CK said, just make sure you make it past the finish line with your sats.
You buried the lead though, right? Is you said, right, that we're going to continue to be right. Why is that? Why is it that a bunch of plebs, a bunch of Bitcoiners on the internet have been consistently right and a bunch of, credentialed academics, intellectuals have been consistently wrong? And I'm going to use CK's quote is because our operating system is based on truth. It's just Bitcoin, and their operating system is based on a lie. And I'm talking about fiat currencies. Anyways, Paul, what are your thoughts, brother?
So on inflation, as we define it, as the rise in prices in the short term, it's really complicated, multivariate. There's all sorts of things that affect it, like proxy wars overseas, supply chain stuff, and of course the government money printer. But on the long term, government printing of money, the expansion of the currency supply is inevitable. And that is what drives long-term inflation. Now, day to day, there's a lot of factors. But I think it was Stephen Lupka who made the case that Bitcoin is really an excellent hedge against monetary expansion. And that's what inflation has traditionally been. It's the expansion of the money supply. So they're going to release that money into the economic system at some point. Maybe not right now, but I mean, England just did by purchasing a bunch of bonds.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to see variability in the short term is what I'm getting at. But in the long term, monetary inflation from fiat currency is inevitable. And Bitcoin is the best hedge against that humanity has ever created.
Boom. Bars. TC, how you doing, man? TC's coming live from Babylon.
Yes. No, this is undeniable at this point that you can't hide what's happening anymore. And the way that I've looked at it as a lot of people, basically the entire mainstream world has looked at Bitcoin as a risk asset. They've continued to tell people that it is a speculative, risky asset. While the truth that Bitcoiners know is that it's exactly the opposite. Bitcoin is not a risk asset. It is a safe haven asset, if anything. The properties of unconfiscatability and the predictable monetary policy and the fact that it just cannot be debased is starting to stick out like a sore thumb. And when people living in places like Great Britain are watching 10% inflation, and then they're watching the debt market melt down, which is basically the backbone of people's pensions and hopes for retirement, they are absolutely put into a corner where they're going to be desperate to find any safety. And Bitcoin's emerging. People are realizing the truth that Bitcoin is actually the stable, safe haven asset, not the speculative risk asset that they want you to think it is.
Amen, man. Wisdom all the way from Babylon. Amen to that. All right, guys, let's get to news, shall we?
The Daily News.
Brought to you by CryptoCloaks.com. They make the best 3D printed Bitcoin merch in the game. From custom node cases to key rings to the famous 3D printed Bitcoin grenade toy. Comes in any custom color your heart desires. You want it in gold, they make it in gold, but only on CryptoCloaks.com. All right, guys, I told you I would have something special on privacy today, and I'm going to make the case as to why. And I'm actually going to reference one of my tweets, right? Freedom is not possible without privacy. And I'm gonna get to that in a second. But first, let's check out this case from Beverly Hills, from California. FBI misled judge who signed warrant for Beverly Hills seizure of $86 million in cash. Goes on to say, FBI agents drilled and pried their way into 1,400 safe deposit boxes at the U.S. private vaults stored in Beverly Hills. Agents took photos and videos of pay stubs, password lists. Keep an eye out. That could also mean a Bitcoin seed if you're storing in a safety deposit box, right? Just keep an eye out for that. Credit cards, a prenuptial agreement, immigration The word that can't be said on records, bank statements, heirlooms, and a will, court records show. In one box, agents found cremated human remains. 18 months later, newly unsealed court documents show that the FBI and U.S. Attorney's Office in Los Angeles got their warrant for the raid by misleading the judge who approved it. They omitted from the warrant request a central part of the FBI's plan: permanent confiscation of everything inside every box containing at least $5,000 in cash or goods, a senior FBI agent recently testified. You heard that right. You didn't commit a crime, but because you had $5,000 or more in the safety deposit box, you are not presumed innocent. You are presumed guilty, and you have to prove your innocence. Funny how that works, right? The FBI's justification for Dragnet forfeiture was its presumption that hundreds of unknown box holders were all storing assets somehow tied to unknown crimes court records show. Isn't it innocent till proven guilty? But there's, do you see how that works? Anyways, goes on to say, it took 5 days for scores of agents to fill their evidence bags with the bounty. More than $86 million in cash and a bonanza of gold, silver, rare coins, gem-studded jewelry, and enough Rolex and Cartier watches to stock a boutique. The U.S. Attorney's Office has tried public disclosure of court papers that laid bare the government's deception, but a judge rejected its request to keep them under seal. That's right. The same government that wants you to trust with central bank digital currencies also don't want to show you their justification for seizing $86 million of wealth. The failure to disclose the confiscation plan in the warrant request came to light in FBI documents and depositions of agents in a class action lawsuit by box holders who said the raid violated their rights. Quote, the government did not know what was in those boxes, who owned them, or what, if anything, those people have done. Now, why am I bringing this up? This is terrible. Guys, what we always do on this show, we try to connect the dots, right? This was the recent sanctioning of open source software by the U.S. Treasury of Tornado Cash. Keep in mind, the vast majority of users on the Tornado Cash platform were not associated to criminal activity. In fact, it was a minority, but the U.S. Treasury used that criminal activity to justify the sanctioning of open source software. And if it was possible, the seizure of those funds as well. Ask questions later, right? This is how the government feels about your wealth. They don't care. You have $5,000 in cash or more, you're automatically associated with the crime. Good luck trying to hire a lawyer and trying to spend less than the amount that they confiscated. And you're just going to have to swallow it, right? This is absolutely insane. Now, keep in mind, right? I said the next narrative, anonymous money is a threat to national security. Why did I say that? Let me back up here for a second. If we go to the recent announcement by the White House, right? Government central bank digital currencies, I said, will never be able to match Bitcoin's incentive. They will always want to control and debase. And when I mean control, I mean censorship. I mean seizure. I mean confiscation. You don't believe me? Hear it from Powell himself.
I think that there are four characteristics of, if we were to pursue a CBDC, it would at a minimum have the following four characteristics. First is intermediated. Second is privacy protected. But third is identity verified. So it would not be anonymous. It would not be an anonymous bearer instrument. And fourth is transferable or interoperable. So we would be looking to balance privacy protection with identity verification, which has to be done, of course, in today's traditional banking system.
They're demons.
So it's completely misalignment of incentives, right? Like, so you want privacy identification. I mean, you want identification, but you also want privacy, and you have to trust them not to abuse it, even though they have a history of abusing it, as with the case with the Treasury Department sanctioning open source software, and as in this horrible case when federal agents just decided to seize everyone's money of if anyone had $5,000 or worth $5,000 or the equivalent of that in a safety deposit box. Now, to be fair, I have to say that apparently that the safety deposit box company that those boxes were stored at, apparently they were guilty of some type of money laundering scheme. But what does that have to do with the clients that were using those safety deposit box? And connect this with Tornado Cash as well, right? The vast majority of transactions on Tornado Cash were of just people seeking privacy, but everybody got caught in that dragnet. Now, is this legal in the United States? No, it's absolutely not. This is completely against the Fourth Amendment. Fourth Amendment says the right of the people to be secure in their persons, houses, papers, and effects against unreasonable searches and seizures shall not be violated. Does this sound unreasonable to you? They don't give AF, and I'll get to that in a second why that is. Shall not be violated, and no warrant shall issue, but upon probable cause. That didn't sound like probable cause to me. Supported by oath or affirmation, and particularly describing the place to be searched and the persons or things to be seized. Tornado Cash, pretty dragnet. The FBI seizure and theft of people's money doesn't sound very reasonable. Now, why is it happening? Sovereign Individual, I think, explained it perfectly and predicted it back in 1997. It goes on to say, lacking their accustomed scope to tax and inflate, governments, even in traditionally civil countries, will turn nasty. Businesses that offer services that facilitate the realization of autonomy by individuals will be subject to infiltration, sabotage, and disruption. Arbitrary forfeiture of property, already commonplace in the United States, where it occurs 5,000 times a week, will become even more pervasive. Governments will violate human rights, censor the free flow of information, and sabotage useful technologies, and worse. And that's exactly what happens. And this is why I made this tweet this morning. Freedom is not possible without privacy. Okay. At the end of the day, you can't trust these people that have an anvil over your head to say, we're going to respect your privacy. But as soon as it threatens them, as soon as it's a threat to the establishment, you expect them to honor that? Even in the United States, that has a constitution that is specifically tailored to protect the people's right against government overreach, against tyrannical overreach. Not even the government here is adhering to those principles. How do you fix this? You separate money from state. You take away their ability to become tyrannical in the first place. You take away their ability to censor you in the first place. And the only way you could do that is with a fully decentralized cryptocurrency, because if it's not fully decentralized, like Ethereum, it will inevitably be co-opted. And the only one that exists on the face of the planet is Bitcoin. Bitcoin is freedom. Bitcoin is what's going to facilitate this. Bitcoin is what's going to give you individual financial sovereignty and nothing else. Look at the other option. The other option with central bank digital currencies, you think what they're doing now, you think what the FBI did was bad, you think what the Treasury did was bad. When they implement central bank digital currencies, they won't even have to go into raid a safety deposit box. They won't even have to go to a bank to ask for permission to see what your financials are. They'll just flick a switch, just like they did in Canada because of the truckers' protest. Why are we going to trust these people? They have broken that trust. They lie to us. They redefine what a recession is in front of our eyes. They change the definitions in Wikipedia. We see it in real time. They lie about inflation. They censor people that try to tell the truth. And they want you to trust them with total slavery money. And that is central bank digital currencies. I say, F that. I pick freedom. I pick Bitcoin. Opti, what's good?
Well, first of all, I love these dots connected. Amazing job, Nico. And I mean, we've been going hard on the idea of like, don't fall for CBDCs. We completely understand where they're coming from and what they really want to do with CBDCs. So like, just back, I am the in-house meme lord. I'm just reminded of like It's Scared meme, like they don't want you to have freedom money, and it's becoming more and more obvious every day that they're scrambling to try to stop the escape doors. We say it all the time, the Christine Lagarde quote, like if there's an escape, they will use it, and they're trying to lock these doors any way possible because they understand that they can't stop Bitcoin, so they are going to try to PR and gaslight you so that you get wrecked and get caught up in these dragnet things like 5K or you're a criminal. This is absolutely insane. The real criminals and money launderers are using the dollar, and this is uncontentious, like the real criminal institutions are these institutions that are after you. Convince me otherwise, but this is why we have Bitcoin. This is why we have the memes of like Bitcoin is unconfiscatable money. This is why we can do, brain wallets. This is why we can vote with our feet and our money and opt out of this craziness, because you can only give up your Bitcoin willingly, but you have to opt into Bitcoin. And these people are coming for us. Like it's becoming very obvious that we are definitely in the then they fight you stage, and they don't want you to have freedom. They want you to be completely tagged and bagged and cattle. And this is why we need to spread the sound money gospel and the self-custody revolution. Like this is what is going to help us win, is people taking their private keys and holding their own money and taking back their responsibility. It's really as simple as that. And we just got to keep pushing that message.
Amen to that, brother. Paul, what are your thoughts on this? And then we'll go back to Babylon.
I mean, this is part of the war on cash that's been going on for a long time. These cases, I used to be in the law. These cases are called civil asset forfeiture cases, and they actually make a case against the property. So it's the United States government versus $5,000 in cash, which is fucking stupid. Violates your Fourth Amendment rights. They don't have to prove you've actually committed a crime at all, or even they have probable cause that you committed a crime. They just take your property, and then they make it economically unfeasible for you to get it back. So there's been a war on cash for a long time, trying to get people to stop using large denominations of cash. The next step is CBDCs, because those offer the advantage of complete control, complete monitoring.
And I just want to say that that's not our words. Augustine Carson said it himself, right?
No, they're saying the quiet part loud every day. It's amazing. So it's complete control, complete visibility, and complete censorship. Those are the three things they really want, and they're going to get it with CBDCs.
100%. And again, guys, the lines are obfuscated right now, but connect the dots. Remember what happened last week, right? The Future of Money report by the U.S. Treasury said that the future of the United States financial system is on central bank digital currencies. You, as an individual, are going to have to pick and choose what monetary system you want. One that can be confiscated, that could be censored, one that can be debased, or do you want freedom money that is hard to confiscate, and censorship resistant, hard cap supply? It's up to you, the individual, to decide. Right now, it's up in the air. People don't really care. They're watching their Netflix, they're scrolling through TikTok, but you'll see it will start to become more and more obvious over time. Anyways, going back to Babylon, how you doing, TC? Talk to us. What are your thoughts on all this?
This is a story as old as time. The people of Earth have had no choice but to trust their rulers, and those rulers have repeatedly betrayed that trust. So what we're looking at here is a real sort of capitulation of the system that's been in place for over 100 years, where they leverage the trust of the people to justify bringing in central banking, and they leverage the trust of the people to allow them to completely detach the money from anything concrete. And at this point, we are being stolen from through taxation, through debasement of our purchasing power. And now we're seeing in real time, as you said, that the people in power just continue to find ways to steal. Control is just another form of theft. It's a theft of your free will and your time and energy. So, Jay Powell said that the CBDC is here to give them some new tools, and they are tools of control without a doubt. Just thank Satoshi that we have Bitcoin, because for the first time in history, the people of Earth actually have an answer. and they actually have something they can do to protect themselves here. This is going to be nothing short of a flat out war for the control of people's minds and for the control of basically all the value that humans have accrued. So you got to protect your value. There's just no choice other than Bitcoin.
Absolutely. Wisdom all the way from Babylon. Doesn't even exist anymore. He's a time traveler. Anyways. All right, Opti. It's time for the culture. Let's do it.
The Daily Culture.
Brought to you by SwanBitcoin.com. Swan is the best way to build your Bitcoin stack with automated Bitcoin savings plans and instant purchases, serving clients of any size from $10 to $10 million. We love Swan because they incentivize self-custody and dollar cost averaging. What are you waiting for? Visit SwanBitcoin.com today. All right, guys, before we get to the culture, I want to give a shout out to Pacific Bitcoin. It's going to be the largest Bitcoin conference celebration on the West Coast. They rented a Malibu mansion. It's going to be awesome. November 10th through the 11th, Los Angeles, California. That's right. The Chad Saylor is going to be there. Also, Lynn Alden, Corey Klitzen, Jeff Booth, Pierre Richard, Guy Swan, Mark Moss, Parker Lewis, Pete Russo, Dr. Jeff Ross, Opti and Nico, Greg Foss as well. Opti and Nico are going to be doing a live Simply Bitcoin from Pacific Bitcoin. It's going to be an awesome celebration. Guys, take advantage of the promo code SIMPLY to get a major discount on your Pacific Bitcoin tickets. Guys, you don't want to miss it. It's going to be freaking awesome. They rented an aircraft hangar. That's where the conference is going to be. It's going to be dope. Promo code SIMPLY.
All right, guys. Well, before I start my culture segment, remember and link this back to what we said in the numbers, because I think that this is the most important aspect of what I'm about to say today, is taking the context of what's going on in the world right now and Bitcoin being the most stable currency in the world, having the least amount of inflation until we get to the 21 million hard cap. And I saw this tweet the other day by Stefan Livera, and I wanted to cover it in the culture, and it just so happens that he dropped another article, and I think it just making it, they're perfectly fitting together. So this tweet goes by Stefan Livera a couple days ago, and he goes, are there lessons for Bitcoin advocates here? Oh, sorry, before the first one. There's 4 reasons people change. Suffer enough so they have to, see enough so they're inspired to, learn enough so they want to, or 4, receive enough so they're able to. And Stefan Livera quote tweets and goes, are there lessons for Bitcoin advocates here? And he goes, fiat users either have to feel enough pain, get inspired, be a nerd, or get wealthy enough before they really see the point of Bitcoin. And, you know, as us early Bitcoiners, I think we probably fall as a, you know, be a nerd or get inspired. And then, you know, if you're an OG, then you get wealthy enough. But I think we're in the place right now where the average normie, you know, the pre-coiner out there is at stage 1. They're starting to feel enough pain. And I really like this tweet that Stefan put in regards to quoted tweeting his article, and it goes, are you fiat minded or are you Bitcoin minded? With fiat currencies around the world dropping, now is the time to denominate in Bitcoin terms. And so let's get into this article, and it's titled, with fiat currencies crumbling, it's time to denominate in Bitcoin terms. And I say it all the time, you know, like using Bitcoin. I don't sell Bitcoin. I use Bitcoin because sats are the standard. Sats are my stable coin. And I jokingly said, you know, I unironically got myself on zero fiat, and I couldn't be happier about it. But anyways, let's get into this article. Many fiat currencies are struggling to retain purchasing power in USD terms, and now is a great time to press the advantage that Bitcoin brings. Not being a fiat currency and that can be printed on demand, it's time to denominate in Bitcoin terms. This is how we survive, guys. We got to really stop thinking about Bitcoin in fiat terms. Remember what CK said. Bitcoiners aren't bullish enough because we're still thinking about Bitcoin in fiat terms, and we don't understand what Bitcoin is going to do to society and to resource allocation, and the fact that we are going to expand infinity into the future. We're going to become more prosperous on the Bitcoin standard. So, as you may be aware, many fiat currencies are crashing against the US dollar. This doesn't necessarily mean the US dollar is going up. It is also losing purchasing power just at a reduced pace. This is what inflation is, and we cover this daily all the time. But let's get to the numbers. The pound lost 21% year to date. The Japanese yen lost 20% year to date. The euro lost 15% year to date. And Bitcoin, is still holding up above all-time high. Yes, you can say what you want about it dropping from all-time high in the short term, but over the long term, over the last 4 or 5 years or so, it is up and it's holding very strong, and it's the strongest currency holding right now. And so the debasement continues, as we just saw this week. The Bank of England is going to start, money printer just turned back on, and they're not going to be the first one. So while no coiners love to hate Bitcoin for not being at all-time high prices, the reality is that long-term coin users have dramatically profited both in purchasing power and in freedom terms. Take both of the sections today, the numbers and the news. As number goes up, freedom goes up. I covered that yesterday, and we covered this the other day with Druckenmiller quote, as the loss of confidence in fiat currencies is driving a fundamental shift in thinking, if our pre-coiner friends were scared of Bitcoin because of the volatility before, the difference in volatility between Bitcoin and fiat coins is reduced. So it makes sense to start using Bitcoin denomination. We have two categories here. We have the Bitcoiners that are already all in, and we should be denominating everything in sats. As someone just quoted on the spaces, when do you sell your Bitcoin? When do you use your Bitcoin? Is when a Bitcoiner has services or products that you want. But for the new coiners, the pre-coiners out there, they are starting to feel the pain of what it means to hold on to fiat currency. Whether they know it consciously or not, I believe they're starting to feel it subconsciously, because the loss in confidence in fiat currencies is at a mainstream level. Even the legacy media is talking about it, and they're going to try to FUD us. Anyways, what does it mean to denominate in Bitcoin? It means to evaluate financial costs and benefits in Bitcoin or Satoshi terms. This includes financially valuing our net worth in Bitcoin/sat terms. This is really what matters over the long term for Bitcoiners. If you believe everything is going to be priced in sats someday, why not start now? And I put this tweet out yesterday, and I honestly didn't know I was going to cover this today, but I think it fits perfectly into what we're saying today. And as I said in the beginning, how to survive the Great Reset. And I say it all the time, provide value to your fellow man, save in Bitcoin, take Bitcoin into self-custody, hold Bitcoin long-term, and spread truth in the sound money gospel. And I know there's a lot of arguments on what's the best way to save in Bitcoin, whether it's KYC exchanges like Swan, River, Unchained, IBEX, Cash App, Strike, or non-KYC options like BISC, Azteco, Machinkura if you're in the African content. To me, I may be naive about this, but I believe that at a certain tipping point, they won't be able to track and bag us all. So do whatever you can to get Bitcoin and save in Bitcoin, because we are still early in this, and the more people getting into Bitcoin, the better. But taking Bitcoin into self-custody, guys, it's pretty easy, and I just want to double down on the same idea. If you're using a hardware wallet like one of our sponsors, Shift, Cold Card, Foundation, Seed Signer, whatever, find the best tools for you. Or if you're using a desktop, download Bitcoin Core on an old laptop, use Sparrow, use Spectre. We have the tools now. But even if you don't want to get like that, if you just want to put Bitcoin on a mobile wallet, use Moon, Breeze, Pine, Blue Wallet, Wallet of Satoshi. These are the tools you need to be using, and we need to continue to tell people what the right tools are and to hold Bitcoin long term and continue to spread this truth and the sound money gospel, because the world needs Bitcoin more than ever. And on a long enough time frame, everything is going to zero against Bitcoin. This is a fact. You just got to get used to it, guys. I fundamentally believe the whole world will get repriced in sats, and it's only a matter of time. And I'm going to continue to steal CK's meme. You just got to get your meat sack over the finish line, guys, because you need to start to learn to think in Bitcoin. Sats are my stable coin. Sats are the standard. Bitcoin is the most stable currency in the world. And I'm just happy to be a Bitcoiner at this point in time. It's almost like Bitcoin is working exactly as it's supposed to be during another financial collapse. It was born in a financial collapse, and now we are seeing Bitcoin be tested, and it's it's the most stable money in the world. It's the perfect money. It's the best money in the world. And we need to start thinking in sats. I know my purchasing power currently in fiat terms is down, but on a long enough time frame, number goes up. As number goes up, freedom goes up, and it's a positive feedback loop, and the whole world will be on the Bitcoin standard soon enough. So just survive the craziness, guys. Do not get over leveraged. Stay humble, stack sats, provide value to your fellow man, and you will survive the great reset. Also, maybe buy, some guns and some meat and all that good stuff. But anyways, Nico, jump in. What's your thoughts on today's segment? And then we'll get our guest.
Dude, I mean, like, they tell the quintillionaires, bro, they tell you what they want for you, man. It's like at this point, we were talking about this like 2 or 3 years. Dude, I thought all this stuff was just like one big old conspiracy. You talk about, the great reset, or the great, the eating bugs, the all of that stuff. I would have been like, dude, like, what are you doing? And then they just keep we're at the point in the movie that they don't even hide it anymore. Like, it's up in your grill, it's up in your face, right? um and it's absolutely terrifying, and I really blame it on fiat. It just created these quintillionaires, right? It's giving governments this unlimited amount of power through the ability to create money for free that everybody else has to work for. And Bitcoin is the hope. Bitcoin is the opt out, right? It's just saying like, yo, like, I don't, look, you go have fun with that. You could go reset what you want. I'm going to chill over here. You go have fun. Right. And like, that's why it's so important, right? It protects you as an individual from being stolen from. It gives you the ability to be mobile, to go, to a more favorable jurisdiction, judicial arbitrage, right? Like, that is the beauty of Bitcoin, right? And so many times in history, just totalitarian moments. The example I always give is, the mid 1930s, late 1930s, early 1940s, Germany, right? They persecuted specific ethnic groups, and a lot of them didn't leave because they couldn't bring their wealth with them. One of the first things that they did was freeze their accounts, right? Literally, that's one of the first things they did when they took power, right? So imagine if Bitcoin existed, it could literally, I'm not exaggerating, it literally could have saved hundreds of thousands of lives, right? And that's the awesome part about Bitcoin, and moving to a different location and not having to start anew, right? And like, what is the alternative? The alternative is people hide gold in their teeth. People hide, they eat it, right? They hide it in their clothing, but there's only so much you can hide, right? There's diamonds. Diamonds are pretty dope because they're very small and you can hide them in places. But Bitcoin, you could literally, I saw people mentioning brain wallets in the chat. I don't recommend it for long-term use, but if you're in a pickle and you're going to cross a hostile border, you will memorize 12 words. I guarantee you will memorize it. If your family's future depends on it, if your future depends on it, you're going to spend the next week just saying those 12 words over and over and over and over again in your mind, right? Like, that's the beauty of this, man, is that it gives you the ability to transport wealth, take it with you just in your mind, and what are they going to do? What are they going to do? Force you to do that, right? How are those capital controls going to work on borders, right? How are they going to do? Right now, if you cross a border, you have to declare $10,000, right? What are they going to do when everyone's on a Bitcoin standard? Hey, where's your Bitcoin? It's like, I don't know what you're talking about. It's like this hardware wallet. You're like, okay, keep it. It's fine. You can keep it. You take it. It doesn't matter. That's the beauty of this, man. Is, again, it moves the balance of power from the state back to the individual. And we've always lived in a place, like TC was mentioning, where the leaders, right, the powerful, the states, the all being, the sovereign, the kingdom, whatever you want to call it, they've always had tremendous amount of influence over their populace, right? Because they controlled the wealth, they controlled the money, they controlled the issuance of the money. Now with Bitcoin, they don't have that control. In fact, they're like everybody else. If they want to create more Bitcoin, they got to mine it like everybody else. If they want to get more Bitcoin, they have to buy it like everybody else, right? It levels the freaking playing field. I'm going to throw back their words at them. It is the most equitable inclusive monetary system the world has ever seen. And there's nothing they can come up with to mimic Bitcoin's property. Suck on that, central bankers. Anyways, Paul, what are
Yo,
your thoughts? Oh,
oh, sorry.
TC, you
No,
hit
you got me fired up. The thing about this is you go back to where this segment started, and the tweet was pointing out, people who are outside, the no coiners, they have to feel more pain. They have to gain this perspective. And, it's just impossible to hide at this point. We have seen so many instances of this in just the last decade. If you live in Lebanon, um, you literally watched whatever money you had in the bank just disappear. It doesn't matter what wealth you have if you can't access it, if you can't use it, if you lose permission to actually take control of it. And this is happening so quickly now. There's an acceleration occurring. What we saw happen in England just a couple days ago with their bond market basically having like a heart attack. And this is like a structural systemic risk where if their debt market collapses, their entire financial system collapses. And so we're at a point where this can't be hidden anymore. People are losing their purchasing power at an astounding rate. And that purchasing power it translates directly to what choices they have. So in a crisis, what choices do you have? And not only is the ability to acquire the services and things you need disappearing through debasement, but now we're just hearing out of the mouths of these central planners over and over again how they want more control, how they want to be able to censor on a whole new level, how they want total visibility, and then they want to intersect all of these political ESG bullshit movements and narratives, and they want to be able to, put all of this into an algorithm and figure out how much they're going to put you in the vice. So this is right in front of people. And I think what you're seeing when you see Bitcoin start to decouple is more and more people are just forced to find a solution. Gold and diamonds, like you mentioned, Nico, that was, the only option for people for a long portion of history. But we have something new here. This is not a optional thing. This is not something that you should just, think about if you like it. This is necessary.
100%. Paul, you want to hit it?
Yeah, I just want to add one thing onto it. You were talking about people fleeing with their wealth and, not being able to do that with traditional forms of wealth. And I mean, people have died throughout history because these things happen slowly. These totalitarian takeovers and genocides and changes to society, they don't happen overnight. They happen really slowly. And when things are changing around oppressed people in the world, and they may not see the full picture of how this is going to play out, and they're thinking about fleeing for their safety, but they have all their wealth tied up in bank deposits or gold or land, they're going to think twice about it.
Mm-hmm.
And not just in like the example of Nazi Germany. I bet there's dozens of examples of this.
Mm-hmm.
So when you can take your wealth and at a moment's notice transport it with you across the globe, that gives you power to look out for your family, your safety, and really be truly financially mobile and independent, and not fall prey to these totalitarian regimes around the world. So I think that's I don't know, that's really, really part of the beauty of Bitcoin.
Yeah, 100%. It's a game changer. And for the first time, I can't emphasize this enough, the individual has the power, right?
Mm-hmm.
The individual has the defensive advantage, right? And before, that was never the case, right? It was always the advantage with the people with the guns, which call themselves the state. They call themselves the kingdom, the sovereign, whatever iteration it was, depending on the moment in history, you were beholden to them. Now, it's not that they can't lock you in a box. It's not that they can't coerce you, right? It's that they can't do that effectively on a mass scale anymore, specifically if people take self-custody of their Bitcoin, which is why we're such big advocates for that, Anyways, Opti, let's hit the meme review, brother. Let's do this.
The Daily Meme Review.
Brought to you by Bitbox 2 Bitcoin Only Edition, a hardware wallet by Shift Crypto. Crypto like cryptography. It's secure, it's open source, and it's so easy your mom can set it up. Self-custody is the revolution, and the Bitbox makes it simple. Do not leave your Bitcoin on an exchange. Order a Bitbox today. First of all, I really love that discussion, guys. That was awesome. That pure signal for the people out there. And this is why we do what we do over here. This is why we consider ourselves Bitcoin, and we continue to double down on this ideology of, you know, Bitcoin is the revolution, but it takes you taking self-custody, and this is what we do. But we're here for the meme review, and as Nico created the meme himself, you know, Twitter is the bullets and memes are the artillery in this information warfare. You Bitcoiners are on the front lines. Continue to make the memes, continue to have calls of actions, continue to educate people through pictures and funnies, because as George Carlin most famously said, you know, if you tell people the truth, you better make them laugh or they will kill you. This is why we do the meme reviews. Anyway, here, I got this first one. It's by Carol Bitcoin, and she said cover updated, and I covered this week. If you guys don't know, remember what was put in the Genesis block? Chancellor on the brink of second bailouts for banks. Well, we got an update. Chancellor on brinks of third bailout for banks. It might even be more at this point, but who knows? Who's counting? Obviously not the fiat maxis. And this next one, I got TC on here because I really like this meme. It's, you know, a play on like a Jaws meme. We got like a great white shark. So working class is just a little tiny scuba diver. And then we got the dollar milkshake theory with Jaws. And then we got a mastodon under here with global depression about to wreck everyone's wealth. Unless you opt out with Bitcoin, you may be getting poorer. And then this next one, shouts out to Will Ferrell and shouts out to you, Mr. Robot. I mean, I'll put that meme on. Nico, I'll show you in a minute. I fully believe this meme right here. I've been seeing different variations of this meme going on Twitter, but I really like this version. It's not incompetence. They're destroying the country on purpose, you dumb fucks. It's the money, stupid. Fix the money, fix the world. And this next one, I think it, honestly, Nico, I think it fits perfectly with what we've been talking today. So shouts out to DYOR FUD or Captain FUD. And he goes, pro-government extremism. If you see it, report it. These individuals referred to as statists believe no one can live outside the authority of government. In theft and redistribution of wealth to fund their programs, a small group of individuals can best regulate the economy. A monopoly on fiat currency must be maintained, and they believe in using violence and force against those who disagree with them. Exercise caution when encountering statists or other state actors. They can turn violent at the drop of a hat. I love that one. And I continued on this thread. I am going double down on the collectivists. And shouts out to Rothmus. They continue to kill it with the memes. We got a how socialists think capitalism works. There's a little arrow and there's a little square with pores, and the rich go up with a big arrow. And how capitalism actually works. The pores go up with the rich. How socialists think socialism works. The poor equal the rich. How socialism actually works. The state with guns on the people.
I just want to say that this isn't about socialists or communists or whatever. That this is a battle between
status.
It's about between. You got to read The Road to Serfdom, Opti.
I know.
It's about collectivists versus individualists. Collectivists is all encompassing, where, you know, the right wing ideology of collectivism is fascism. And the left-wing ideology of collectivism is socialism or also communism, right?
100.
So it's both sides, man. And you got to understand that this is about individualism. This is about the right for the individual to get to decide what they want to do over his, her, they life, right? That's what this is about. Opti.
I love it, Nico.
Can't beat our friends.
Hey, Nico,
on one side.
I didn't make the meme. I just thought it was a good meme right here. You know, the state is a big red candle and it's holding an AK against the people. I think we're saying the same thing. I think we just said the same thing. Anyways, this next one we got tagged in by our friend Chris, and he goes, this by Liberty Capital, he goes, to say you have a claim to my property is to say you have a claim to the labor I perform to obtain it. To say you have a claim to my labor is to say that I am your slave. I think it's going to need some horns on that one, Nico. And And this last one, shouts out to our boy RDBTC. I thought we were going to cover this today, Nico, but maybe we'll cover it another day. Bloomberg dropped this article. Bitcoin is as damaging to the climate as farming cattle or burning gasoline, and its carbon footprint is growing. So we are getting more FUD articles out by legacy media, and RD drops this meme and goes, fairly clear what stage we're at now. Hashtag Bitcoin, hashtag then they fight you. First they ignore you, then they laugh at you. Then they fight you, then you win. It attributes it to Satoshi Nakamoto with Dorian Nakamoto there. Absolutely love the memes, guys. And of course, Nico, I'll do better with my memes now, and I'll try not to dunk on some of our friends. But today, you guys see me wearing this hat all the time. I don't think I gave it a score yet. I'm going to give it the Citadel Dispatch hat. Now give me your meme review score, Nico.
Yesterday, I gave it an empty bottle of Fiji. Today, I'm going to give it a full bottle of Fiji. That's my score. What about you, Paul?
I'm going to give it two things because I want to do the beverages too. I give it the best water in the world, Topo Chico. And yeah, fight me on that. I also give it the worst beverage, White Claw, my favorite t-shirt.
Ooh.
Fight me.
Ooh.
Drink a Celsius and call your mom.
Anyways, Babylon. Live from Babylon. What score would you give from Babylon?
Yeah, those memes were fire. I give it my kids saying Bitcoin.
Bitcoin.
And of course you hear the sirens in the background.
Wait. I got one more meme review score, Nico.
I love cone.
Oh man, that never gets old. Guys, I also want to give a shout out to our awesome Telegram group. You can join it by going to www.t.me/the Simply Bitcoin channel. It's absolutely free. It's a party in there. It's super active. That's where you could link us Bitcoin memes to review. Before we start reading everyone's score, Opti, I also want to give a shout out to Simply Bitcoin Unfiltered. Go to www.simplybitcoin.news. It's the written version of this show. Shout out to our awesome writers, Rustin, Zach, Weinekiss. Paul might do some. Definitely go check it out. Anyways, Opti, let's get to some of the scores, shall we? Opti's Neglected Laundry. That is a name. That is someone's handle for our audio listeners. Says score. 1 non-KYC coin join sat using Join Market. Very, very good score. All right, next one by Pravanify says, I give those memes a straw for the thick debt spiral milkshake the world is about to drink. Very, very good score. Global Nonsense. I love these handles. I give them a burning stainless steel pan. Oof, little jab there. LaFrenchie CJ says, I give the meme review my 2 honey badger ferrets sleeping tight with a private key hidden in their cage. It's hard to get one and get bitten. Oh, I like that. I like that a lot. Z-Logic says, I give those memes an ancient Babylonian god incarnating a legion of demons. Incinerating. Oh man, hold on. Okay, no, keep going, Opti. What's that score? Say it.
I give the memes a basketball that screams every time it gets bounced.
All right, speaking of demons.
Just like the Bible says, it's basically an intergalactic invasion into this space through people. I'm telling you, it's what all the ancients said. It's what they warned of. It's what we're dealing with. They're demons.
All right, I just felt like that was very fitting to...
All right, I think this is the last one we got in here.
Andres, too fucking soon, bro. And I'm from Florida. That's messed up. Andres says, I give those memes 15-foot storm surge. Very, very good. Awesome memes, guys. Really appreciate it. Like I said, make sure to join the Telegram chat. Link us Bitcoin memes to review so we can review them on the meme review. Anyways, there's an open source software release today. Let's check it out.
Bitcoin software release.
Brought to you by CipherSafe. Don't be that person that loses their Bitcoin seed due to fire damage, water damage, dog attacks. Back up your generational Bitcoin wealth on steel, and there's no better place to do it than the Cypher Grid by CipherSafe. And now check out their new Bitcoin art, the Bitcoin Rulux triangle, only on cyphersafe.io.
All right, guys. So today for the software release, we got Samurai Wallet version 0.99.98F. It's got new collaborative transaction UI, auth 47 integration, and more. It's an update with dramatic UI changes, boys and girls. So definitely update your Samurai Wallet if you are using them. And of course, if you love what we're doing here, we are posting this podcast as audio on Spotify, on Apple, on Anchor. And if you love what we do here, we are on Fountain, and we are a part of the value for value economy. You can stream us some sats, guys. We appreciate all you guys that are clipping us over there on Fountain and putting it on Twitter. It means a lot to us, guys. We really love what you guys are doing. It's the end of the week, Nico. We made it. We made it one more week.
We made it one more week. I also want to give a very special shout out to our clothing sponsor. Opti and I wear the hoodies every single day. Guys, check out representltd.com. Opti's wearing the Bitcoin merch. I'm wearing the camo because I feel like there's a peaceful revolution. This is one of my favorite. Obviously, you guys know. Opti, show the back of that one. It's badass. Look at that. Look at that. He's holding an AK, a Bitcoin bag. Absolutely love it. It's an angel. You guys, you can take advantage of it.
What am I, a piece of meat over here, Nico?
Yeah, you're the model. You're the Simply Bitcoin model. You're the Mexican Bitcoin Johnny Depp. Anyways, I also, guys, go check out representltd.com. You can take advantage of the promo code to get 10% off. All right, guys, that was the show. Thank you so much for joining us, guys. I'm pooped. I'm really tired. I've been the last literally week. I recorded in Puerto Rico the day after a hurricane. Went to Miami, moved all my equipment there. Then came to Nashville, set up at the Bitcoin Park campus at the 1031 office. Shout out to them. Recorded from Bitcoin Magazine headquarters, and then moved back all my equipment to Bitcoin Park campus today. And next week, Opti and I are going to be recording live from Austin at the mining conference event. That being said, I'm exhausted. I'm really tired. I'm going to take Saturday off. I'm sorry. So there's going to be no show tomorrow. But we are going to be posting clips, especially Lawrence Lepard, Super Signal. We're going to be posting some highlights of that, some shorts as well. And of course, we'll see you back on Monday for a brand new episode of Simply Bitcoin. Should be back in Miami, so should have my green screen back. Guys, we love you. If you enjoyed the show, you know what to do. Smash that like button. And I'm a really, really rude host because I didn't allow TC. TC, where could people find you on social media?
Yeah, pretty much only on Twitter at meditation_man. But I will be coming out to Pacific Bitcoin. I'm coming to find you, Nico. I just want to thank you guys again for having me. I really appreciate your show. I watch it as often as I can. And thank you so much for having me. It's been a blast.
Thanks for coming on, man. Like I said, guys, if you like the show, smash that like button. If you really feel like this content provided you some value, consider hitting that subscribe. And of course, the number one thing you could do to help this revolution become an activist audience, after all, share this video, get the truth out there. We now have a solution, and that solution is Bitcoin. Love you all. I'll see you on Monday.
Which one's the best crypto asset? Well, Bitcoin's the best crypto asset. Okay. What's the second best? There is no second best.